All right, in this video, we're going to talk about input groups and add-ons. So just like we have the form group class, we have input group, which kind of groups together fields and whatever else we want, whether it's a symbol or text or anything like that. So if we go to 3_6_ input groups and we go to start here, you'll see this div here. Now what I'm going to do is take this first div and add a class of input group. Okay, and you can put input groups within form groups if you want as well. And then I'm also going to just do an MB3 to just kind of push things down a little bit. All right, and then this div here is basically we want this A symbol, this @ symbol, to kind of be attached to this input. So to do that, we use a class called input group prepend. It's going to prepend this symbol to the input. So let's do class input group dash prepend. Okay, and then for the input, of course, we want our form control. And let's save. All right, so that doesn't look right. One thing I forgot is the span tag. We want the span around the actual symbol, and we want to add a class of input group text and save. There we go. So that looks pretty cool. So this would be like, you know, if you wanted the @ and then put a username in. So the components to this is input group prepend, whatever the symbol or text or whatever you want to put in here. It could be an icon. You want to put a span with input group text and then put your actual input. Okay, so down here, let's do kind of the same thing, but let's append something. So let's say we wanted username and then we wanted to append @ something. So again, we would do class input group, and let's do MB3, and we'll add a class to the actual input of form control. And then down here in the span, let's see, we're going to, in the div, we're going to add a class of input group, and instead of prepend, we want to do append because it's coming after. Okay, and then again with the span, we want to put in a class of input group text and save, and there we go. So now we prepend the @something.com. All right, so let's take a look at another prepend. So maybe we want to we have some service where we can create custom URLs for profiles or something. So right here, what we would do is add input group, and for the div, since it's coming before, we want to do prepend. And then for the span, we want input group text. And then for the text, we just want form control. And save, and there we go. So that looks pretty cool. Now, if we wanted to do a prepend and an append, we could do that. So let's say we wanted the money sign prepended, and then we wanted to append the cents or whatever. So we'll say class equals input group, and then this div here would be the prepend. Okay, and then the span, group text, and form control. And then this div here would be the append. So class equals input group append, and then we need that same input group text class on the span. So we'll save, and there we go. So now we have the money sign on one and then the cents on the other, and they could put whatever, you know, whatever, 25. So $25. All right, let's see. So we can also prepend like check boxes or radio boxes. So again, input group. So for this div here, let's say input group prepend. And then for this div here, we're actually going to put the input group text on the div. And then the checkbox, we'll just leave that. We don't need to do anything. But for this text input, we want our form control. And save. And now you can see we have our little checkbox. And we can do the same thing with the radio. I'm just going to copy this whole thing and replace this. And then we'll just put a radio here. And save. And now we have a little radio button. So we can do that. We can also have multiple inputs. So if we were to do input group, and then this one here would be the prepend. By the way, prior to version 4.1, I believe it was input group add-on. It wasn't prepend or append, it was add-on. And if you watch the old course, that's what it was. So this probably looked weird if you tried to use Bootstrap, whatever we used. I think it was 4 beta. So this span right here is going to have a class of input group text. And then we have 2 inputs here. So let's say class form control, same here, and save. And now we have our name and email label, or whatever you want to call this, add-on, and then we have 2 inputs. All right, we can also do button add-ons, which are really helpful for like search boxes. They're really nice looking for search boxes, stuff like that. So let's say input group, and we'll add form control. And then this div here, we're going to add the class of input group append, since it's after. And then for the button, we'll just add a standard button class. And let's do outline secondary, and save. And there we go. So now we have a nice little search form. All right, so that's going to do it, guys, for input groups. In the next video, we're going to take a look at alerts and progress bars.